All right. Well, welcome everyone to Elevation Call and the 22nd of January 23.
Yep. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started right away here tonight. We're going to introduce Dr. Stephen Todd, who is a good friend of ours, who really has a very special message for us tonight. Steve, why don't you tell us what you do before you get started, kind of your whole thing. And we're going to really, we just want to turn it over to you just like now.
Okay.
So take it away.
Let me, I want to add something though.
Okay.
We're so honored to have Steve and Jenny and, Steve Todd was actually in my cell phone, believe it or not. Dr. Todd, I don't know if you even know this, but in my previous business in nutrition, you were the oral implantologist that worked with one of my clients.
You were
on my chicken list. I was afraid to talk to you. And so it's so amazing just to have seen your transition to regenerative medicine and now sleep medicine. And one of the very best freedom calls that I've ever seen was you doing the overview on sleep medicine.
Oh, thank you.
I sent to Marcia Smith today, one of our new ambassadors, a holistic nurse coach in New York, who's on tonight. So all that to say, we are honored to have you talking about one of the most important aspects of business success, which is mindset.
Yeah. So we want to take it away, Steve.
All right. Well, good guys. Thank you for coming on tonight. And I thank Hal and Lisa for, allowing us to just present, I think, a very, very, very important topic to let you know a little bit about this journey. Lisa was nice enough to mention in other lives, I've done other things, but I have a lot of different passions and a lot of different things that I like to do. And this is one of them. Several years ago, when I was trying to find a way to help people, a different way, Jenny Lusby actually a long time ago had just briefly mentioned in a conversation that she had on here one night about Dr. Shad Helmstetter. And that's it. I mean, it's just his name. And so I just went and looked him up and I said, wow, this is fascinating stuff. And I didn't know anything about it much. And so I sort of, when I do something like this, I sort of dive in. And I did, and took his courses, became a life coach with his institute, and then became a certified, what's called self-talk trainer with his institute. And I did that not to get those things, but to really know, I think, how to, and I won't say no, but to be able to have a handle on how to help people, that struggle with the mindset of life. And that are all of our struggles is the mindset of life, right? It's not, we can all struggle with physical things and all that, even physically, but your mindset is how you struggle day to day, minute to minute in your life. And so I felt like he had a really good platform for that. And so I got the training, and here we are. And what I'm going to do is a couple things briefly. Is I want to, what I want people to understand, I'm not trying to pitch Dr. Helmstetter, okay? He is a wonderful person. I've had many trainings with him, meaning that you can buy whatever you want from him, but I am going to direct you into that area because I don't know of another system out there that has as powerful impact on your subconscious mind and how you think and what you think and why you think than his system. He spent over 40 years developing this. It's not something he just came up with. He's one of the original people. You don't hear about him a lot with Bob Proctor that other people know about a little bit, and Zig Ziglar, all these classic names but he still was under the radar in that respect because he isn't very flamboyant. He's not a person that would excite people on stage and things like that. He just had a really powerful message. So with that being said, there's a couple of things I want to direct you to in the beginning. One is, if you haven't read any of his books, this is one book I recommend. The first one that he's written is called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And believe it or not, there's a lot of movie stars that study his work, and they have lots of people who support their work read these books. And this is his first book. It was written about 40 plus years ago. It is this he's written about 20 books. in this time. I sort of collect his library of books. Some of them, I've got one book of his that's out of print. I haven't been able to get it, but it's really interesting to find his books. And they all say similar messages, but he even has stuff for kids, children, parents, things like that. First thing I want you to do tonight, guys, is I would like you to, before we get started, and you don't do it right now, but I want you to write down 3 focus goals for you, no matter what they are. It doesn't matter what they are. Just take the time this next week or 2 to write down 3 focus goals that you feel like you'd like to work on. And then I want you to write down for yourself a target date for those focus goals, just a target date for the completion of that goal, whatever it be. It can be anything that you feel like is important to you. Then I want you to write down the obstacles that you have to overcome to deal and reach with each goal. And that would be, for example, if you're a person that you want to maybe go to Disney World, what's the obstacle to going to Disney World? You want to go by summer? What's the obstacle getting in your way of going to Disney World? Things like, and make sure you're clear on that obstacle. Many times that's what holds us up, are obstacles, and we don't even know what they are. And then after each obstacle that you write, I'd like you to write out your action step. What is it that you want to take in order to get there, you know, and the date that you'll want to take that. And the brain, guys, we're going to be talking a little bit about neuroscience tonight, but the brain basically likes very, very much specificity. It doesn't like generalities. We don't work on generalities. Like if you have a goal that is like, you know, I want to build a new house next week or next year, that's really not concrete. And everybody knows on this call that if you have something you want and you get it and it becomes very clear, for example, the house plans are very clear, and the clarity of that building is very clear. The shutters are clear, the type of door, right? Everybody knows, or when you want to move into a house, the furniture you want, when that becomes very visually clear to you, then it becomes real. But if it doesn't become clear to you, then it's not real. It never becomes real. And so the specificity of your goals is super important. So that's just a little note of things to talk about there. And then I'm gonna sort of give you a little short presentation on self-talk and sort of how it works tonight, and then in the future, if Lisa and Hal want to, in some way, we can, you know, do sort of I won't say a course, but a way to sort of make this work for everybody here. If somebody hasn't been here, they can catch up or whatever. It's not you're not graded or anything, so it's not like you're going to be you know, tested or anything like that. But it is a test of your will for your self-talk, because guys, your self-talk, it controls us every minute of every day. So the question I want to ask you now is, and just ask yourself this, you know, why are some people successful and others are not? Okay, why are you successful at certain things, but other things maybe you want, but you're not successful at it? Whatever it may be. We're not talking about Zalise here. We're talking about life in general, okay? We're not talking about selling something or anything. Just ask yourself the question and look around. Why are some people successful? And then you look around and others are not. So here's how that works. You know, from the moment, guys, you were born, every message you received was recorded in your brain. Everything you say, everything you hear, everything you see, everything you do, guys, everything you experience, even every thought you think is recorded in your brain. And we don't think of it that way, but every message you receive repeatedly gets wired into your brain. And through Dr. Helmstedter's work in the study of neuroscience, the that key to wiring your brain is repetition. And repetition, repetition, repetition. As we're watching these ball games tonight, they're relentless in their commercials, right? You see the first one and you watch the next ball game and you see the second one. You see the same thing, right? It's the same commercial. Guys, they call TV programming for a reason. Okay, it's not called TV by TV. It's called programming, right? That's what they're doing, and that's what you're doing to you. It's nobody else's thing. It's just what you're doing to you. The messages that you get that are repeated the most wire your brain the most, and these are all facts in neuroscience. The messages you get that are repeated the most wire your brain the most. The problem is the part of the brain that stores all the messages we get that store all this doesn't know the difference between something that is right and something that is wrong, or something that is false, or something that is true, something that is good or bad. The brain doesn't know the difference. It's just registering information. It records on everything as though it's true. It doesn't know the difference. So you're giving your brain always true information, whether you think it or not. It's absorbing that information as factual and true. Your brain is wired, guys, for success or failure. Your brain is actually programmed, wired to succeed, or it's wired to fail, or even something in between. Now, Dr. Helmstetter did research a long time ago, and he studied the positivity of people that a family that had like kids up to 18 years old. And his research showed that somewhere around 200,000 times before a child was 18, they were told what not to do, or what they can't do, or what they shouldn't do. And that, I believe that's very conservative, but that's what he found out. And his research has shown that over 77% of all the programs that you and I have today are harmful or work against us in some way. So I'll show you how this works, how you get programmed. And I'm going to give you a picture of something that I call self-talk park. And let's first take an infant. Let's say that you're an infant, that you're an infant, and you have been born in this magical park that's really a perfect park. It's beautiful. You live in this park that is magically green carpet, perfect trees, puffy blue clouds, and sky that's blue. It's just beautiful, and that is a perfect place to be. And when you're born, you're in that kind of place. And just think about it. It's just magical in your environment at that point in time. But then let's just say that you get a message, and it can be any message. And you take a few steps in that park. And as you take steps in that park, you walk back and forth, but you got a message. But when you look at back behind you where you walked in the park, there is no step, there is no pathway made. It's just, you ever been walked through a grassy field and you turn around behind you and it's not a path yet, but you knew you were there, but it's just not there yet. That's the way the pathways are formed in your brain. So it's not quite pushed down yet. It's not quite a walking trail. It's just there. And as you get more and more messages, you can start seeing like where you're walking. You can see that pathway getting deeper and getting deeper and getting deeper. And that's the frequency of repeated messages again and again and again. And in your brain, it works that way. The brain is creating a pathway. And when you were little, those pathways weren't deep. It's not something that's make-believe. It's an actual physical, chemical, and neurological pathway. There are actually chemicals involved with it. And I've talked about this briefly before, but there are major chemicals, which anandamide is one of them, that is actually laying down these pathways. So I'll give you an example of that. Let's just say that there's a young lady, a little girl, 6 years old, and she's in a little family reunion. And this little girl, we'll call her Susie, says she hears that she's well, Susie looks like she's a little bit heavy. She looks like she's a little overweight. She didn't even hear it. Okay. She did not hear the message, but she was in the room where the message was transmitted. And we know that's not true when she's 6 years old, but that's the message. And then she goes and she hears that again, maybe from a friend or from her parents that mean well or whatever. Those pathways are forming in her mind that become true to her. Doesn't matter what you did indiscretionally or whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is that pathway is forming. And when Susie gets that same message from someone else or a similar message about her weight or her appearance, and it's repeated often enough, her own self-talk creates an overweight picture of herself that permanently gets wired in her brain. And this happens to everybody, not just Susie, but everybody. Now, let's just say that Susie's now 30 and she's overweight. And she's starting to look like maybe her Aunt Harriet who said that, right? She's just really starting to look like that. And they don't even have to be related. But she's been wired to be overweight. And that's a fact today. That's a fact in our society today. People say, well, I'm overweight because I eat too much, or overweight because I'm this and that. No, you're not. You're overweight because you were wired that way. Okay, whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, it's true. So here's another example. Let's just say that a young boy is around and wants to be an astronaut. Okay, and so he sees, I like space, and he sees space, and he sees rockets being launched, but somebody says to him, Jimmy, you'll never be an astronaut. I mean, it's just not in your cards. You're not around the space program. You're not around airplane, whatever. It's not true. But the first time that Jimmy hears that, and with enough repetition, it will become true. He will not become an astronaut. And how many times have you guys heard stories of people that weren't around something, but yet they had a desire to change their direction, and they had the determination to do it? But it's rare. Most people will just never get to anything that they're close to being because of that repetitive nature. It's being wired out of Jimmy. He had every intention of being that astronaut, but it's being wired out of him. And he doesn't know it, and neither do his friends. And he's going to become much less than he ever thought he could be. I mean, he could have been anything, but he's being wired that way. So in our own lives, through our own self-talk, these types of pathways like this in this clear self-talk park are being repeated day in and day out, and they are super, super powerful. And we got that from the world around us. So we become our own programmer. We become the power source behind perpetuating these truths. In time, most of the pathways in self-talk actually come from us. We might have heard it once, but we keep repeating it over and over and over. And unfortunately, when we talk to ourselves, these messages are the wrong messages. Imagine, guys, that you have a room, and it's that clear path field, that field that was so green and everything now is just nothing but a roadmap of pathways that go right and left. And just look at that path, that clear self-talk park now. It's nothing but an intense bunch of pathways going left and right everywhere, and they are buried deep in your mind. They're there. And you've even got superhighways in your brain. You don't just have a little pathway, you got major pathways. And that's, no matter how perfect when you were born, your map, your self-talk park is filled with these pathways. And these pathways, these neural pathways are real, and that's what we follow every day of our lives. It's easy to say that many of them are exactly the wrong pathways, but guys, our brains today, we are on autopilot. We're set on autopilot. We don't have to think about the pathways anymore. They are so deep. And that's why when children are 6 or and younger, it's easy to shape them, right? Because their pathways are being developed. And many of this research is based on today's ability of us to help, to neuroscientists to help stroke victims and, people who have dementia and things like that. There are major inroads being developed with that. But guys, these pathways are physically wired into our brain. Even if the pathways take us in the wrong direction, we know that they're buried there. And you don't really have much control over it at all. You think you do, but you really don't. It's part of your subconscious mind that we're talking about here, not the conscious mind. Conscious mind has literally nothing to do with this. They're very, very real. And but on the upside of this, everyone here, you were born to succeed, everyone. Before all those pathways were formed, the truth is you were born to succeed. It's actually in your DNA. Remember this, and I don't mean to this be spiritual at all, but God didn't make anybody to fail. He didn't put us here to fail. No one. Think of a rose that was created. That rose is it's almost like a perfect flower, right? I mean, it's the color and the texture of a rose, the way that it opens, everything about a rose expresses in our society romance and beauty. So if God can do that with a rose, then what can he do with you and the rest of us? Think about that, guys. He made this rose that's perfect flower. So we are his greatest creation, which is you, which is all of us. So what can he do with you? He did not make you where you could fail. Each person, each of us was born, guys, with unlimited promise and unlimited potential. Each of us was born to succeed, and we were designed to be successful. But if that's true, like I said in the beginning, what goes wrong? Why are none of us as successful as we were born to be and as we want to be? So I want you to think about a newborn. I want you to take a little step now. When you go to a hospital and you go to the nursery, you see the nursery there. You see the newborns, and you're looking at the infants in the nursery. And let's just say that you stand in the hallway and you're looking at the nursery and you see little baby boys and you see little baby girls, and you see the girls have the pink thing on their head and the little boys have the blue thing on their head, and you're looking at them and they're precious. And you see the babies sort of, some of them maybe open their eyes, look around, and you see the promise that each infant has in their survival instinct to learn, and to from that moment on, they're basically searching for success and what to do. They're searching for their promise and the potential that they're born with. Everyone can see it, guys. Everyone can see that in a baby, right? When you look at a baby, you do not look at that infant and say, loser. No one says that. The promise and potential that you were born with never goes away. It's always there. Even if you can't see it, it gets covered up by bad programs, the wrong self-talk, but the potential's always there. So what happens? What happens in that program? Here, another way to visualize this. And what I'm trying to do is get you to visualize what I'm talking about. So let's talk about two different people. I'd like you to visualize something like the most successful person that you know. Anybody, can be living, deceased, be whoever. Think of the most successful person you know right now. That person, not just financially, but successfully, somebody who you know has it together, I guess you could say, or you think they do, in every important way. And somebody that you would want to spend time with, someone that you could learn from, someone that you emulate, someone that you edify, and you want to be like that person. Somebody who's spiraling up in life, or somebody who's spiraled up in life, who's winning at life, and they're going for it. So visualize that person and ask that person, put that person on your right side. Just place them right there on your right side. Whoever that person would be, see that person on your right side. Now, put that person there. Everybody take a moment and put that person there. That person wouldn't mind standing there at all. You're going to put that person on your right side because they're confident and they're successful and they don't mind standing there. But now I also want you to picture someone else. Picture someone who is failing. When I think of someone who's failed, I think of when we drive down to Pensacola and we go downtown on the Palafox Street, there's always a beggar or somebody there wanting money, something like that. And that person is failing at life. They're having to beg for their each minute of they're trying to beg for every penny they get, every minute they're trying to exist. And I assure you guys that the person on your right wants to stand there. But if you ask that person that's failing to come up and stand on your left, they won't want to go there. They won't want to stand up next to you. They won't want to look at you, and they won't want to be there. So here we are. The person on the right is someone who is successful, and the person on the left is probably the least successful person, maybe the least successful person you've ever seen. Well, the question is, what's the difference? Why is one of them successful in life and one is failing in life? The difference is, guys, is their self-talk. That's the difference. It's the programs that they got that put them there. And we can prove it. Listen to them talk to themselves a few minutes. Listen to what the person says who's upward in life. He talks about words like belief and faith and goals and opportunities that we talk about, right? Cool things. He talks about, well, he may even say words like, can I help you? Or something like that. Or yes, I can do this. But you would not hear those kind of words from the person on your left. You're not going to hear it. The person's programming is the person's self-talk. That's the person who is in life. The person on the right is successful by their self-talk. The person on the left is not successful because of their self-talk. So when you know that, it's not hard to say, well, how do you fix that? How do you know? Well, one more example. Our parents meant well. I had wonderful parents. Okay. I can't tell you how great my parents were. I didn't have a life where my parents didn't love me, care for me, and all that. But they obviously had times when they said, you know, you don't want to do this, or you don't want to be that, or whatever. They tried to direct me the best they could. They didn't meaningfully hurt me in any way, but they had great intentions, but they still programmed me. No matter how you did it, your parents helped program you. So it's entirely possible, guys, that person on your right and the person on your left were born at the exact same time. Suppose they were born in the infants in the bassinet at the exact same time, the exact same point in life, but now they're as far polar opposites as you can get. So with that potential, what happened? Well, here's how it works. The brain is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to change, and it's a real deal. It's not space science. It's real. Most of us, and I included, was taught that when we turned 18, for some reason back in the day, your brain stops growing. We were all taught that. I was taught that. Okay. I remember hearing that in school going, man, you know, I'm only 18. It's already done. But that's not true. New science with MRIs and technology has created us the ability for the brain. We know now the brain can change. So how do you change your self-talk? You change your programs. That's what you do. So the first thing you do is I'll send you a link if you want to, and it's called, and you monitor your self-talk. I want you to listen to what you say, what you think, everything you say to somebody else for the next 48 hours to 2 to 3 days. Listen to everything you think, everything you say about yourself. Listen to your thoughts. Be mindful of your thoughts. You could even have somebody write it down. You probably wouldn't want that, but you could. And you know exactly why you're here today, because you hear it with your self-talk. And the second thing you can do, which makes humans so unique, is edit yourself. So monitor your self-talk, but you can edit your thinking. You can, as humans, we can think before we say it or think it. We're different. Humans, let me give you an example. A goose can fly north and south. That's it. Can't go east and west. It can only go north and south, like all animals. It has programmed instincts that are not changeable. Humans, however, are different. We can edit and change our thinking. But by yourself, editing won't change the programs. It helps, but it won't change everything, but you can't edit it. So what I want you to do is I want you to listen to self-talk. Now, Dr. Helmstetter has a program called Self-Talk Plus. It's an app. I can send you the link. You can get it, but you need to listen to positive self-talk. Okay. You have to. If you don't, you won't change. It's that powerful. Your brain gets wired into that powerful instinct. So listening to the right kind of self-talk is important. I listen to it. I listen to it every day. Okay. Now, some days are better than others. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it is very, very good. He's expanded this program. It's an app. There's a tremendous amount of coaching on it. There's a tremendous amount of self-talk. If you decide you want to lose weight, there's self-talk for weight loss. Now, there's more to it than just listening to self-talk, obviously, in weight loss. There's different aspects of it. I'm not a weight loss expert by any means, but it is the right way that you need to basically change your thinking. Remember this, guys, in your life, that if you don't change it, somebody else will. No question about it. When we watched the football games tonight, they made a relentless effort, and I like football like hell. I like watching it, but they make a relentless effort to change your thinking. All right. Some people even think that putting a bow on a car at Christmas makes it better for you. Some people even think that a can of cola is exciting to pop it open, right? Some people even think that drinking beer makes everything better just by drinking beer or drink whatever. So that's how powerful the programming is if you don't want to change it. And that's where you'll stay if you don't be proactive in that. So with that being said, I'll send you the links for this if you want it, so you can choose to do this if you want to. But it's not an overnight thing. There's a lot more to this than I've just read tonight, but I want to just introduce you to the concept a little bit. I think, what else was there I want to mention?
I think that's it.
Is that it? Yeah, just the link and the book. And if it's something that you decide you want to do, just jump in and do it. Nobody keeping you from it. So with that being said, I guess I'll turn it back to you,
Hey,
Lisa.
Dr. Todd, that was amazing, awesome as usual. And yeah, Zoom hands for Dr. Todd. But
Thank you.
would you mind dropping that in the Team Unlimited Facebook group, just so that we can have that link as to where to go, the app, as well as anything else that you would recommend?
Mhm.
Maybe even the name of the book, which,
Sure.
you know, honestly, I mean, what I love about Elevation Call, especially now, our new format with the very first part of it, you can't really elevate a business. You can't build a business. You can't grow a person with the wrong mindset. And that's such basic information. And it took me years and years to learn it.
And as Steve has said, you're not going to change this tonight. However, you can decide to change this tonight.
Right.
And he's given some action, some basic principles. And based upon what you've heard tonight, if you say, you know, I want to change something in how I think and then pathways of my brain and the outcomes of my life, this is an opportunity to do that. You just have to decide to do that. And then the resources are going to be that Steve talked about tonight are going to be posted on Team Unlimited. So again, thank you, Dr. Steve and Jenny, for
Jenny's
your help tonight. I see you.
Behind the
And
scenes.
so we're going to close out this portion of the elevation call. We're going to stop the recording. And
No, I'm
then,
going to keep recording.
are we going to
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
recording?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we don't have two recordings.
Mm-mm.
Okay, all right. Well, this is all new to us. We're doing it all different since first of the year. So anyway, Lisa's got it all under control.
No, we're not quite ready yet. So we're
Oh, we're not?
transitioning because Zalise as a vehicle for better health and also for an additional stream of income is really has been an amazing blessing for us, for this team. So I'm going to have Hal, we have really a kind of a quick way of learning kind of how you can actually succeed in this Zalise platform. So Hal's going to recap the two ways by personal enrollments and also for personal volume and retail sales.
So one of the things we've all discovered, and some of us have discovered it in many ways after 4 or 5 years or more using the products from Zalise, how it's impacted our lives, impacted other people's lives close to us, and then at a distance now for us, really all over the world. And the products have to be used, they have to be taken, they have to be tried, but we need them in our bodies to match those cannabinoids in our bodies. So in order to do that, people need to get product, and we have ways of getting product to people. And then when those people use those products and they find success and they want more, share it with others, they have some options on getting the products at a, you know, we say, first of all, get them at a better price. So we can enroll people at a better price, which is a wholesale enrollment. And then for people who want to get more bang for their buck or build a business, create some income, there's presently 3 builder positions that people have an opportunity for that. And when we actually do that with people that we encounter in so many different ways in the world, when all of us have that opportunity to do that, Zalise actually recognizes the leaders for the week and the month and the year that are actually doing that. And so we have a leaderboard. And so we recognize that for the people on our team week after week and month after month, year after year. And so we have 2 different categories: enrollments and then personal use volume, or volume that you purchase from the company, either for personal use or for many cases for retailing it out and making a retail dollar. So we have 2 different leaderboards that we're going to talk about. Top 25 in all of Zalise globally. And you can find these leaderboards in your back office. Actually, they're posted under reports, leaderboard, and then on the Freedom Calls, they recognize these as well. But we're going to recognize our team. So at number 24 is Rebecca Watson. And yeah, we want to congratulate her out of Indiana. Yep.
Whoop.
Is that
Whoop,
right?
whoop.
Whoop, whoop. And then, you know, Hal and Lisa are on the leaderboard again. And we moved up from number 8 to number 3. Because we're just doing this thing, sharing it with people, and we're not going to go into detail about that. But I will say that Lisa and I, but especially Lisa, have created a pretty good neuro pathway, you might say, of actually creating a spot on the leaderboard for ourselves. And I would say that there's a good chance that many people need to make an adjustment about your own personal neural pathway, about your place on the leaderboard.
That's well said.
Because we kind of expect to be there. And and it's created a result, and it's created a repetitive path in our lifestyle and how we do things, and it leads us to the leaderboard. So anyway, we're leading by example, but we're also just doing what we do. So that's that on the leaderboard for enrollments. And then the other, we have Blue Angel Medical, which is, speaking of that, that's Dr. Steve and Jenny Todd. And they too have created kind of a neural pathway of action and behavior. And then also one of their people, I think, that they've actually sponsored and worked with is Dr. David Kokenauer out of Kansas, who's also regularly on the leaderboard at number 8. So that's that.
So I just want to also give a shout out to number 24, Rebecca Watson's sponsor, Christina Durham. And I'm going to bring Christina to the line.
Who just got bumped off the leaderboard because she was on it.
She was on the leaderboard.
Somebody jumped up
we
there,
bumped her off. I think we did, or somebody from another
did.
country. But Christina is somebody who has an amazing mindset. I have watched her come into this business. She's done it her way, and she's bringing as many people as she can with her. And one of the things that I really appreciated about Christina is that she got her very, very biggest Zalise check this past week, but she just really didn't understand where it was coming from. So what did she do? Well, she asked her sponsor, me, and I'm like, I couldn't explain it all to her either. I could explain some, but not all. So she took the initiative and she scheduled a 3-way call with support. And in that process, I asked her if she would share a little bit about her mindset on Elevation tonight. So Christine, I want to bring you to the line and just say thank you for being the leader that you are.
You're welcome. Thank you for being the leader you are, because I don't know that I would be sitting exactly where I am if I wasn't in a position with a team like this. Actually, it's more than just you, Lisa, but it's all the training that comes from everyone else in the process as well.
Well, we want you to talk a little bit. I've got really 2 questions for you. One is just that conversation we had, and I go, Christina, that is just a beautiful statement, and I want you to bring that to Elevation Call. So that's one thing. The other thing is I want, since Rebecca's not on tonight, I want you to tell us a little bit about how she hit the leaderboard.
So Chris and I were actually watching a show, and there was a Latin phrase that came across, and it was one friend telling it to the other initially, and it was Audaces fortuna havate. And that's Latin for fortune favors the bold or the brave. And honestly, it just took me, it stuck for whatever reason. And the next day, as I was just kind of processing through that, I just kind of really was taken back in my mind to just where I could be if it wasn't for the things that I overcame in life. So it was really that rise from the Phoenix moment through each one of those things. I don't bow down and fail easily. I'm probably fail the worst at it as more than anybody, but I don't take it as failure. I take it just as a learning lesson and use that to catapult myself forward into changing the strategy and what to do next and how to make that happen. And I really, through the life lessons that I've had, kind of really started thinking in team building perspective, who do I want to build on my team? Who do I think that I need to go that distance with? And really for me, it's those people that have been through those struggles. It's been through divorce, that have been through, I had a house fire. If I could have taken a different path, I could have went down, the opioid, path of that whenever I had my neck injury. And fortunately, it didn't lead me that way, because it's that strong mental ethic that I just keep that moral compass ported north. I know what I want for my life, and I know what I get there, and I want to find a team, and I want to be part of a team that helps catapult me to that, and that I can help lead that, and to show them how to be better people, kind of how to build that mindset of just strategy. And I've actually had a couple of people that I'm prospects of mine, they tell me, you are the best cheerleader. They like, just talking to you makes me feel like a better person. And sometimes that's just really hard for me to grasp in my own self, because I just feel like it's who I am. So I don't see the compliment that is in it is so big that I just don't see myself as that. And I really appreciate that I can put that into people and still be humbled in that moment. So I really do feel like those are the things that help build whatever it is that's coming next. I've always been this person. I've talked to people. I've never lived inside a box, as you say. I've always been on the outsides of it. And I've always had a lot of people tell me you can't do it that way, or that's not the way. And it's not that it's not always the way, it's just that thinking process of how to build it differently. I know duplication is part of this process, and I'm learning that through the different avenues and things like that. But I also have always been a person that is a visionary and sees that one way is not always the way. So sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to learn a lesson in that. But I'm glad to be able to be a leader in that and to be able to teach people, social media or, Canva or the different things that it takes to actually build in the business. So that's, in a nutshell, a big part of what kind of catapults it. But it was that phrase that really processed that in my mind and really got me thinking about where I came from and who I could be if it wouldn't have been for just that mental tenacity, if you will, that kind of pushes me through.
Fortune favors the brave is a very beautiful statement. And if you haven't written that down, I want you to write it down. And one of the great really examples of that, Christina, is the meeting on December 27th that you put together. And those of you guys who don't know what I'm talking about, just go to Team Unlimited, scroll down to like December 28th when Hal and I are driving back to Arkansas. And I want you to look at some of the, some of the pictures, see, there were like 30 people in the room. And, it was so powerful to hear people's stories, people who've been on product for anywhere from 5 years down to like a couple weeks, and some of the stories from pets to people. But you were the one that was responsible for that meeting, and it was really your courage to assemble a group of people like that for the very first time that showed me really what you were capable of in your mindset and in your courage.
Thank you.
Awesome. And something really cool happened, and I think that's what you were going to tell me with Rebecca. She's now she's on number 24 on the leaderboard. So how did she get on the leaderboard?
She has been talking to some people for months now, and it's her family. So they're all really close, and it's easy whenever you are involved with family to just you want to bring them in to be part of something, but at the same time it's hard to hold them to the standard that we have to in Zalise. So there's that, and that's a conversation that we had. You can't sell them products at that discounted rate that you get. You have to make sure that you stay at that MSP, because if they want to come into the business for that, lowest price, then they need to sign up for themselves. And she just kept talking with that every month through it. They were buying products from her and they weren't paying the wholesale price, they were paying the MSP price. But she finally was able to get them to sign on. But it took them coming to that meeting and really seeing everybody else in that room. And that's where that duplication comes from. I was fortunate enough back before the pandemic, I saw those meetings and what they were in Evansville originally. So coming out of the pandemic, that was kind of my frustration. I didn't see that happening again. And I was like, why? And so I was able to kind of lead that with them and my team, and to show them this is how it used to be, and this is how we want it to be now. And she's really excited about continuing that forward and launching that in other areas that we've got going on right now too.
Awesome.
That's great. So here's that's awesome. So I'm hearing you talk, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but think back on what Christina was saying, and not the details of what she was saying necessarily, but she said things like, I just always thought this way. I just always thought outside the box. I would never let anyone tell me I couldn't do it. I would tell myself something different. That self-talk. If you listened in relation to what we heard from Steve just a little while ago, if you listened to what she was saying in regards to that, you heard somebody who has been able to think outside the box and to create something that she didn't have before. And so you might want to just kind of use that as an example for yourself. What do you say to yourself, when you think about doing something new or fresh or something you've never done before, or that you want to succeed? What are your first thoughts? Catch yourself. That's what Steve was saying. Observe what you say to yourself when that presents itself to you, and pay attention to it. And I know that Christina didn't even think about probably tonight that she was going to say it the way she did, but it was full of positive mindset, forward thinking, success kind of talk. And so anyway, it just ties with what we heard earlier, and I appreciate that. So that's all.
The other wonderful, thank you, Hal. The wonderful thing that came out of Christina's group is Rebecca's mother is a very high level health professional in the Evansville area. And so sometimes family is not easy to talk to, because I know Rebecca was, I was involved in that conversation, which I love to be involved in that conversation, but she's a pretty intimidating lady. She has like 100 different certificates on the wall. I mean, she knows her stuff. But as a result of that meeting, she shared her own story about how the tissue felt different on one of her patients who had been using Glow. And she described in great detail exactly how much healthier his tissue was. And so I got the privilege of Christina doing a 3-way phone call with her after this meeting that Christina planned. And as a result, I have some eye candy for you guys. And by that, this is a working meeting. So I'm going to give you guys something that Christina and I have been working on. And because it's sometimes very tough as our line continues to expand, sometimes it's hard to know what product goes with what complaint. And we are limited, and Marcia Smith will definitely understand this. A lot of our health professionals know this, but in the dietary supplement industry, we cannot make drug claims. We are limited. We cannot claim anything that has an ICD-9 or whatever the ICD code is. We can't talk about pharmaceutical medications. So we have to be really, really careful about how we make claims about this dietary supplement that really supports the structure and function of the human body. So what I want to show you guys is what Carol Gott actually was able to, let's see if I can find this here. This is Elise product share. See if you guys can see this. But Carol was able to help describe symptoms instead of really disease states. And this is not finished, but I wanted you guys to be able to take a little bit of a screenshot if you want to, because this is kind of a starting point for us to talk about some of the complaints that people have when we have that initial conversation with them.
Can I say something about this? So as you look at the column on the left, you see terminology that describes a condition. So we can, with nutritional products, describe with words conditions that are based upon something, which is not the same as what?
As a claim.
As a claim or a diagnosis.
A diagnosis or a disease
for example,
state.
you can say someone, if someone says, we've seen this product help people, that being Ultra Dream, R&R Glow, help people with sleep issues. All right. That's that. We've seen Glow, CBD, CBG, Ultra Edge, help people with low energy. That's not a diagnosis, that's a description. We can say digestive issues. I say fast track, slow track, that fast gut, slow gut. Okay. CBD, CBG helps bring both of them back. All right. And everybody knows what you're talking about when you say fast gut, slow gut. Okay. Most adults do. Anyway, so again, that's what this is. So don't let it overwhelm you, all the words. I'm the kind of person that when I see a screen like this, all those words become a blur to me. And I will say that Ultra Edge, CBD and CBG help with that brain fog or that sense of overwhelm that I sometimes get when I see a screen full of words. So I just personally described to you, brain fog, sense of overwhelm, and the products that help me, CBD, CBG, and Edge, with that. So that's how we can use this.
And so we will eventually post this on Team Unlimited as a document, as a PDF. But what I love is that we had a practitioner, and we also, I'm going to ask Dr. Steve and Jenny, I'm going to ask Dr. Susan Welch, any other health practitioners who would like to weigh in with their experience as to how this should look and if there's anything that we're missing. But, everything from digestive issues, body discomfort could be anything from, sciatica to migraine headaches to fibromyalgia to any kind of pain condition. But obviously pain is a diagnosis.
I'm having a little body discomfort right here on my shoulders. I want to help you.
Brain fog, sadness or hopelessness, weight issues, also angry tissues. That was from Carol, because she was describing the inflammation that she feels with her hands in tissue, which I thought was really, really interesting. And then stress and agitation, skin aging, chapped lips, immune support, managing hunger and cravings. And then we also have systemic balance or homeostasis, which is just the general health recommendation that I give to just about everyone, because you cannot go wrong with liquid CBD and CBG. Our first generation product, first generation 1 and 2, I still use that, recommend it to almost everyone. Otherwise, Glow and Shield would be a close second to that. And then we also have the non-hemp products, the Ultra Ice, the Ultra Dream. Dr. Todd, obviously, he's an expert on those sleep products. And I don't want you guys to get crazy on the liquid nutritional products, but it's really important to know, because this is volume for people who are wanting to be consistent to maximize the reward points. Magnesium, zinc, ADK, glutathione, B12, vitamin C. I did not put biotics down just because I included just the liquids, but these are just some of the overview. I did the research to find out what the RDA amount is recommended for these nutrients. Understand that RDA is really formulated to keep starving prisoners alive. And so there's really, I would look at more what is the upper limits of those nutrients. So you're going to want to be somewhere in between that. But this is just a start. And I want to just, give something to the team to say, if you've got somebody that has expressed a concern and you ask them, if there's anything about your health or your body that you want to change or you want to improve, this is kind of a starting point.
So this can be helpful to you if you just look it over. Honestly, sometime you pull it up, even taking this, it can help you with your language as you talk about the products in general. It's just helpful. At a high level, for some of you medical people or people who are used to talking this language in the medical world, this will help with you, because this is the kind of thing typically that Lisa likes to talk about. She gets off on this kind of stuff. I'm sitting there going, oh man, but nonetheless, this is really for everyone. Very helpful, we hope. And then we will get some people to help us kind of fancy it up, finish it up, and so forth. So that's that. And
let me just go ahead and stop share. And then
while we're finishing this up, I did look up that quote, and on Fortune favors the brave. And so where I saw that, I was like, that rings a bell. Was that Epicurus or Epictetus or one of the Stoics? Well, actually, it was Matt Damon on a crypto commercial. Crypto.com or something. Fortune favors the brave. But actually, if you dig a little deeper, quote is actually tied to P.T. Barnum and Bailey Circus. And his full quote was, "Fortune always favors the brave, but never helps a man who will not help himself." Fortune favors the brave, always favors the brave, but will never help a man who will not help himself. That's very interesting in light of what Steve taught us tonight about our neural pathways and the opportunity to make some changes in how we talk to ourselves. Man has to help himself to find fortune.